If you're thinking about finally tackling your overeating problem, where do you start? There's books behind me, there's books above me. They all tell you a little bit of a different story. They all tell you, you got to eat regularly, you got to work on your emotions, you got to understand your brain and all these different things. And it's like, what do you start with? Do you start with the brain? Do you start with the nutrition? Do you start with the emotions? How do you start the journey to stop binge eating? That's what we're going to be talking about today. If you like the video, like it, subscribe so that you get my notifications for these new videos that come out every other week or so, a couple videos per week. Okay, let's dive in. So, I just had two clients start, and they're at different ends of the spectrum. One is well on their journey. They have done the meal. They've worked with nutritionists before. I got nothing against nutritionists. They're great. Now, through her work with a nutritionist, she has solidified her regular eating. She is having breakfast, lunch, dinner, a snack. She's not starving herself. She's not dieting. She knows about the dangers of dieting. She's eating well. She knows a lot about nutrition. Her starting point is going to be different than this other woman's starting point. This other woman's starting point is she's just getting out of dieting. Her eating is more chaotic. She'll have breakfast some days not. Lunch some days not. Oftentimes, maybe 7 hours will go by, 8 hours will go by without eating. And then, of course, what happens when you are starving and not eating is you're going to binge, right? So when we think about starting points, we have to look at it body and then mind. Meaning you got to be satisfied, you got to be eating breakfast, lunch, dinner. You got to be not starving yourself. You can't be letting too much time go by without eating. And once you're eating regularly, your emotions will be more stable instead of going up and down. You won't be as pulled, you won't be as forced into binge eating. So once you're stable with your eating, then you can do the emotional work. Does that make sense? So there's different starting points. If you're eating regularly, great. We can start diving into the emotions. If you're not eating regularly, then the emotional work, like what I do, journaling before binge, catching those thoughts, it won't do anything. You'll catch the thoughts and then you'll still binge because you're hungry. So I hope this clarifies briefly on where to start if you want to stop binge eating. And don't get me wrong, I know that emotions are involved with eating, like this whole meal plan. You've probably been told the meal plan thing before, how to eat healthy and everything. And I understand that that can become dull and routine, and that sometimes there's a fear of weight gain. There can be emotions and thoughts that get mixed into the regular eating process. And I do work with people on that to help them get over their fear of eating. It's the same process of journaling, getting your thoughts out on paper, working through it with a therapist, working through it, seeing it, reflecting back on your past journal entries, making little tweaks. That whole process is essentially the same. But if you are just starting out with food, if you're not eating regularly, if you're not full, if you're not satisfied, if you're not content in your stomach, you got to start there. So we're going to end this video and stay tuned for another one coming up. Namaste.